Okay, so hello everyone. We are joined today by Dr. Gabriel Gasque. He's the head of outreach at protocols.io. And in case you're not familiar with protocols.io, it's a platform where a lot of labs and research institutes all over the world create and publicly make available their protocols or workflows for be it wet lab protocols or any other type of protocol really. And he will show us what the platform can be used for and how this is applicable for us here. And in case you might remember, for those who are coming back from last year, so last year we had in the observership and in the capstone project, part of the SWiM program, we had you optimize your MRI sequence protocols and put all the parameters in one document. And this was then uploaded to GitHub. And this was not the most easy to access or the most intuitive to follow. So protocols.io will probably be a much better way to showcase these steps. And we're very thankful for having you here to show us how it works and what it's used for. When you want.
Thank you, Marina. Well, I'm really happy to be presenting to you guys. I am, as Marina said, I'm head of outreach at protocols.io. I have a background in experimental neuroscience, but I don't do imaging myself, or I never did when I was a researcher. I always worked with the fruit fly Drosophila, so mostly molecular biology and genetics. But I do understand a little bit about neuroscience in general. So I'm going to be introducing protocols.io to you and explain what it is and why we think it could be useful to you. And then we have scheduled a second session in about 2 weeks in which we will go deeper into how to use it. So today we will cover the what and the why, and in 2 weeks, the how. And before we go into the details of the presentation, this seminar is being recorded, and I will also be sending the slides to Marina so she can distribute the slides to all the attendees. Closed captioning is enabled in case you want to use it. And I suggest that we save the questions at the end, but you can start typing them anytime in the chat or in the Q&A windows. And finally, if you are interested to learn more and you don't want to wait 2 weeks until we meet again, at the bottom of this slide, you can see 2 links. The first link is to our webinar webpage. We host regular webinars, 3 webinars a month. These are free to attend, so you can just register and attend. One of the webinars a month is scheduled in the Africa time zones, and the other 2 are for the Americas and for Far East Asia, but you can attend any. And the last link will take you to a page to request a one-to-one demo. In these demos, you have the opportunity to interact with one member of our team, and you can ask any question that you might have about the platform. So as I mentioned before, we will be discussing the what and the why, and then get to some questions at the end. But let's begin by introducing protocols.io. As Marina briefly mentioned, protocols.io is, on one hand, a cloud-based platform for the collaborative development, organization, and preservation of detailed, dynamic, interactive, versionable, and reusable research protocols, standard operating procedures, or any other set of instructions. And on the other hand, it is an open access repository for publication of these protocols independently or in association with peer-reviewed articles. So unlike traditional research articles, which in this slide is outlined to the left, and which place most emphasis on the results and their interpretation, and where research methods and protocols receive only a cursory mention, research protocols, which are here depicted to the right in orange, give all the details of the methods and how the experiments were carried out. And we think that these details are really important because they're actually the linchpin to reproducibility and transparency. So having the facility to create reproducible, detailed, and reusable research protocols, and the option to make these protocols public, is fundamental to foster integrity and reproducibility in research. A survey conducted by the journal Nature among more than 1,500 researchers reported that about 70% of them said they couldn't reproduce reported experiments, mostly because of the lack of detail. To better appreciate the magnitude of this problem, the lack of detail, I will use another example, which is a cancer biology reproducibility project. This was a project coordinated by Science Exchange and by the Center for Open Science, which attempted to quantify reproducibility in this field of research, cancer biology, and the cost associated with the lack of it. So in this project, a group of researchers attempted to independently replicate 193 experiments already reported in 53 articles, with a budget of 1.5 million American dollars. However, they soon discovered that it was very difficult to replicate this previously published work. And there are several reasons why this is the case, but one of them is that the original researchers did not document in their papers with sufficient detail what they did and how they did it. So what you see on the screen is the Center for Open Science website that summarizes some of the results of the Cancer Biology Reproducibility Project. And as you can see, of the 193 experiments that they attempted to replicate, 0% of the protocols, 0% were fully described, making it impossible to reproduce those experiments without contacting the original authors. But equally striking, when the reproducibility researchers contacted the original authors, they also discovered that these original authors could not always say exactly how their own experiments had been done. Therefore, the problem of lack of reproducibility goes beyond the lack of adequate reporting in published articles, but also reveals deficiencies in the way researchers keep record of their own experimental protocols for future use. Now, part of the reason why experiments are difficult to replicate, even within the same research group, is that staff usually leaves because the students graduate, or people move to different institutions, or they go abroad to get more training, etc. And traditional papered notebooks can be easily damaged, misplaced, and lost. And it is very difficult to search for pages in these pages of these notebooks for the most up-to-date version of a protocol. Therefore, we thought that a cloud-based platform for the organization, preservation, and publication of detailed research protocols was needed. So Protocols.io started in 2014. We currently have over 189,000 registered users who have created over 18,000 public protocols and over 64,000 private protocols. everything that you create in protocols.io starts privately. And it is the researcher who decides with whom to share it and what permissions to give to the people they are sharing it with. And when they feel ready, they can make the protocols public. Once a protocol is made public, it receives a digital object identifier, or DOI, which makes it citable and persistent. Every single published protocol is open access, which means that they are fully searchable and free to read, use, and reuse. And last year alone, our protocols received over 2.5 million readers, the public protocols. Now, although protocols.io was created with the goal of giving researchers a tool to share their detailed research methods, the platform has also been optimized for the collaborative development of these research methods. With the protocols.io platform, you can discover and select existing public protocols, create and privately store, run records of those protocols. You can create private forks to record tweaks, rerun them as necessary, create new versions to record your changes, and publish your optimized methods when finished in a detailed step-by-step format, all in one place. Now, let me show you how the protocols created in the collaborative workspaces and published in the open access repository are dynamic and interactive, offering more engagement, potential of reuse, and interactive and dynamic functionality than a traditional static PDF or a Google document. In addition, because once they are published, they receive a DOI, these documents are also persistent and citable. So I will be demonstrating a public protocol about a pipeline for the reconstruction and co-registration of imaging from implanted ECOG and SEEG electrodes. So this is a public protocol, but all the functionality applies as well to private protocols. As I said before, everything that you create in the platform starts privately, and you decide when and whom to share it with, and what access and editing permissions these colleagues with whom you are sharing your protocols will have over these documents. And it's not until you feel ready when you can, if you wish, make your protocols fully public. Okay, again, apologies. So what you see is this public protocol that I was mentioning you about reconstruction and co-registration of imaging from implanted ECOG and SEEG electrodes. Because this is a published protocol, it has received a DOI. Actually, this protocol is part of a paper that was peer-reviewed and published in the journal PLOS ONE. The protocols themselves are written in a recipe-like step-by-step fashion, as you can see here. They can be supplemented with images, pictures, and even videos. Different sections of the protocol can be coded in different colors, created a table of content that I can navigate. The protocols are interactive because any reader can come and post a comment in the protocol, and the authors will be automatically notified, and they can come to the platform and respond to that comment or question. If I am a reader and I want to reuse this protocol, but I need to optimize it for my own conditions, let's say my own patient cohort or my own equipment, I can create an editable copy and fork. This will be stored privately. All the information will be transferred right away, and then I can go to those steps that I need to optimize and make those changes. The protocols are versionable, as I mentioned before, and versions lay on top of each other. So if the authors improve or updated their protocol, I can see the two versions, and I can even compare the two versions side by side. And if this were a wet lab protocol, I can run it directly from the computer or tablet, creating a run record. So I click the run button. As I make progress in my workflow or my pipeline, I can mark each step as done. I can add comments or annotations to this run of the protocol. And when I finish running the protocol, I can save the run with a timestamp as an independent file. So the protocols created in the platform and published in the open access repository are dynamic and interactive. And here are a few examples of protocols relevant for MRI. So these protocols come in different shapes and forms. Some are very detailed, others are not that detailed. We are not a journal, so protocols.io is not a journal. We don't peer review. So it's up to the authors when they want to make their protocols public. And we hope that the communities engage and provide feedback and use the protocol and help to improve it. Again, I can take any of these protocols and open it. So this is a different protocol, high resolution ex vivo structural MRI imaging and analysis protocol. Again, it has images that you can use to make the protocol clearer. Another protocol of functional magnetic resonance using under swallowing task. You know, some are very detailed, others are not as detailed, but it's up to the authors how much detail they want to provide and when to make these protocols public. Now, let me show you now very briefly the creative private side of the platform. That is the collaborative workspaces. So what we're seeing here is a screenshot of my personal account. To the left, you can see the multiple workspaces to which I belong. Workspaces are collaborative units that allow researchers to bring colleagues and organize their protocols based on projects or team of collaborators or classes or workshops taught. Each workspace has a file manager that organizes and displays the protocols, and this file manager supports any file type. Protocols, but also PDFs, Word documents, and Excel spreadsheets. Now, from the administration menu of your workspace, once you create one, you can manage who joins the workspace, so you can invite colleagues, and you can set the rules of what those colleagues can do with the protocols and other documents that you're sharing in the workspace, such as editing them, or deleting them, or sharing them beyond the workspace, or publishing them. So you have full control over what your colleagues can do with those protocols. But you can also set rules at the protocol individually. And you can share each protocol outside of your workspace with external collaborators privately and securely. And these colleagues can edit those protocols if you allow them to do so, or they can add comments using the comment functionality that I showed you before. So what you see here, it's a screenshot of what you will get if you right-click on a protocol, all the options, including the share option. You can also set the visibility of your workspace as private, which is the default setting, or make your workspace public, which means it will be searchable and people can request to join. So this menu is accessible from the administration toolbar that I showed you a few slides back. So these public workspaces, because they are searchable and discoverable, and people can request to join, can be places for your research and clinical communities to nucleate around the protocols you are developing and using, and to showcase your method development work. Public workspaces are spaces to receive and give feedback and foster collegial discussions and collaborations. So what you see on the screen is a search that I did of public workspaces with the keyword MRI. So these are public workspaces with the keyword MRI. And when I sort the workspaces by the number of publications, I get this ranking with the Spinoza Center at the top, which is an imaging center in the Netherlands. And then if I follow that link, I will have access to the public profile of the Spinoza Center workspace, including the number of publications and all the publications associated with the center. And that's what I'm seeing on the screen now. And the editor, again, this is my personal account. The editor is a functionality to create the interactive and dynamic protocols. But due to time limitations, I will not be demonstrating that today, but we will get to it in the next session. The only thing that I want to highlight at this point is that the editor allows collaborative editing, keeps tracks of all changes, which can be reverted if needed. And we also offer an editorial import service to typeset into the protocols.io dynamic and interactive format existing protocols in PDF or Word documents. So now let's discuss why protocols.io can facilitate the work that you do by improving the way you collaborate and create reproducible protocols and improve rigor, transparency, and reproducibility of your clinical practice and research outputs. So let's refresh that although protocols.io was initially conceived as an open access repository for reproducible protocols, it actually touches every aspect of the research workflow. Therefore, protocols.io facilitates the practice of open science, improving the rigor of research results and their reproducibility. Furthermore, it facilitates collaborations between researchers in the same team, within the same institution, but also more broadly, with national and international colleagues. Allows you to permanently store all protocols, organize them properly, annotate them, version them, and make backup copies. And because published protocols receive DOIs, it allows recognition of the method as a citable formal research output. So let me show you a few examples of how protocols.io can improve both research reporting practices and the reproducibility and rigor of research outputs. So a published protocol with an assigned DOI is a citable object that can be referenced to in a paper, giving credit to the author's methodological work. The reference will also be linked to the protocol in protocols.io. So the reader will have access to the interactive step-by-step protocol, even if the paper was published behind a paywall. And a really nice thing about how protocols.io works is, as I mentioned before, that the protocols are versionable. So if the authors have updated their protocol since the time of publication, the reader will be notified, and they can choose to read the protocol as it was published together with the paper, which is what you see on the screen now, or by following the View the Newer Version link, have access to the most updated version of that protocol. And this doesn't only represent a citation to the method, but also improves rigor in reporting and ensures transparency about the methods and protocols used in this paper, with all the experimental details. Protocols.io also facilitates the way you collaborate, not only internally, through the collaborative workspaces that I briefly mentioned before, but also by making your protocols public. So one of our favorite quotes comes from Professor Luciano Martellotto at the University of Adelaide in Australia, who has published several protocols and who says that about 80% of his recent collaborations come from people reading and engaging with his protocols. Now, I would like to show you how the comment functionality of the platform allows an open and scholarly and productive discussion, between all parties interested in a particular protocol and method. So I'm fearful of opening a new tab now. So I'm going to do it the old way. I have a link here that I'm going to copy. And I'm going to paste it here. Okay. So this is a very popular protocol for molecular biology. Again, it is a detailed protocol written in a step-by-step recipe-like fashion. It has many versions. And this protocol, with its assigned DOI, it's part of a paper in Nature Communications. But what I really want to highlight here is that this protocol has over 1,300 comments. And you can come here and click the comments, and you can see the users of the protocol asking a question and the authors responded. And you can see all the back and forth and conversation between readers and users of the protocol engaging with the protocol, and the authors responded. This is all open, and this is a collegial discussion that can potentially lead to collaborations. Now, moving on. Protocols.io also allows you to systematically organize and version your protocols, so you keep everything centralized and with a clear record of what protocols are updated and in use and what protocols have been retired. So you can read here another testimonial from a laboratory at the University of California, Riverside in the United States that uses protocols.io to keep all its methods properly organized, as you can see to the right. And to the left, there is a tweet from the PI saying that having all the protocols organized and centralized has been very useful and has empowered her first generation of students because they can easily find the correct protocol right away. Protocols.io also facilitates recognition of method development work as a formal research output. So first of all published protocols have a tab in the document that is called metrics that shows all traffic and use of the protocol, including number of views, bookmarks, forks, comments, and citations that the protocol has received. And this allows authors to quantify the impact that their protocols are having. In addition, protocols created and published in the platform can be sent for peer review as a standalone methodological papers to many journals that focus on methods and protocols. Over 500 scientific journals encourage and recommend the use of protocols.io. However, we specifically have partnership with 4 journals: BMC Methods, Nature Protocols, PLOS ONE, and Lab Animal, that should facilitate submission of your protocols. Now, each journal has a different scope and different editorial criteria, but we offer you 4 from which to choose. And the example in this slide is about a protocol turned into a peer-reviewed +1 lab protocol paper for surveillance of antimicrobial resistant bacteria causing community-acquired urinary tract infections in low-income countries, published by a team of researchers in Tanzania. The paper and protocol are bidirectionally linked, and the protocol in protocols.io receives additional badges indicating that the protocol has been peer-reviewed and published as a paper in +1. And finally, protocols.io can also be used in a teaching and training setting, as the few following examples would show. So the protocols can describe the steps needed to use in a specific equipment or instruct how to prepare patients or participants in a study, and even how to analyze the data, linking the protocol to code in GitHub or external data repositories like Open Science Framework. So let me show you in this example how a professor at the North Carolina State University in the United States has adapted protocols.io for teaching. So what you see here is his website of a workshop that he organizes on sequencing techniques. Now, if we go to the link that says resources, I open the resource link, I can see that the professor has uploaded or the protocols that the students will be using in the workshop. Okay, so what I was saying is that, again, this is the website of a workshop that a professor at the North Carolina State University teaches on sequencing techniques. In the resource link, he has uploaded all his protocols, and this link, if you click any of these links, they will take you to the protocol in protocols.io. And again, these are dynamic and interactive. The students can engage with them, use the comment functionality to ask questions, and even run the protocol, creating run records. And the last slide that I want to show before we go to the question section, it's about a different way to harness protocols.io in a teaching setting. So what you see now, it's a screenshot of a search that I did for public workspaces with the keyword course. And what you can see is that different professors use these public workspaces to share with their students the different protocols they have created. So there is a MetaFunk course from 2018 that has 10 publications. Another, this one is in French, a course about synthetic biology with 7 publications, and so on. So you can bring a cohort of students to a workspace and share your protocols through the workspace. And with that, I will thank you for your patience with all the technical issues, your presence here, and I will be happy to take any questions.
Thank you very much. If anyone has questions, feel free to write them in the chat or to unmute yourself. I have a question in the meantime. So for our situation for MRI sequence parameters, I imagine this can be similar to wet lab details. How do people normally format specific details for a step? Are they listed in each step, or is it done in a kind of table format? I don't know if there's any idea
again,
how to
I'm
do
not
this.
an expert on MRI myself. So I would invite you to have a look at the protocols that I have linked in this presentation. There are a few MRI protocols. You can also go to the website. Let me minimize. And I hope that you can still see my screen, right? And I hope that it doesn't kick me out. But if you go to our website at protocols.io/welcome, you can do a search for MRI and see all the MRI protocols, and that might give you an inspiration. So there might be more than one way to format the parameters. We will delve more about how to use the editor and how to create protocols and how to actually share them. But if you go, once you create an account in protocols.io, you need to create your own personal workspace. If you go to the file manager of that workspace, there is a new button that will take you to the editor. So you select create a new protocol. You select in what folder to store it. And then here, you can start adding steps. So you add your first step, step 1, then you can add a second step. And if you wish to include a table, there is an option here for you to include a table.
Okay, I see.
So I will invite you again to look at fMRI protocols. You can also do searches directly from your workspace. So look at MRI protocols. Again, we don't peer review, so I can't vouch that these protocols are ideal, but have a look and take an inspiration and then see what works best for you. Did I answer your question, Marina?
Yes. And it would be possible for all SWiM participants to be collaborating in one folder, so to say, and each create their protocol as a sub-protocol for that?
So every time that one creates an account, and creating accounts is free, you need to create a workspace. So the first step is when you create an account, you are requested to create a workspace. So you will have your own personal workspace. However, if Camera or SWiMs wish to create an organizational workspace, you, Marina, can do that. And then if you are the administrator of that workspace, in the administration menu, you have access to members. And then you can start inviting people by typing their email address. Now, they will have to join your workspace. They will have to create an account as well. But once they accept the invitation, they will be members of your workspace. And you can see here, in this case, my workspace only has 2 members. Once you are a member of a workspace, then you can create, each of you will have, sorry, let me go back to my folder. So you can create a new folder, and then you can create as many folders as you want. And those folders can be based on protocol or based on participant. So it's up to you how you organize it, but you can create a SWiM workspace, bring everybody, and create a folder for each of the participants. Or they can just create their protocols in the general folder. It's up to you.
Okay. Makes sense. Thank you.
For example.
Thank you, Gabriel.
Yes, go
I
ahead.
have one
Sorry.
question. Yeah. Is there a specific file type that you can upload?
So if you create the protocols with the editor, as I showed you before, if you go to the new button, it will be its own specific file type, which is the protocol file type. But you can upload to the platform any document. So if you have a PDF, you can bring it to the platform. If you have a Word document, you can bring it to the platform. So let me show you that super quick. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to reshare. So you should be able to see my full screen now. This is my account. And here is my hard drive. And I have here a few documents as PDF or a Word document or a text file. I just can take these protocols and drop them into my folder. And I think that I dropped them in this folder. No, it wasn't in that folder. Oh, I don't know where I put them. Well, let's do it again. I'm going to open this folder. I can take these protocols and just drag them here. So you can see them now here. So you can bring to the platform documents in any file type. However, you cannot open them from in the platform. So if I double click the PDF, I will have to download it. So the only thing that you can open in the platform are the protocols created with the editor. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, if there are no further questions, I will thank you again for your time, and we'll see you in 2 weeks for the more detailed instructions on how to use it.
Yeah, and I will encourage that all of you create an account before we meet again and start playing with the platform. So you might have specific questions. And if you have questions before we meet, feel free to email me at gabriel@protocols.io. I'm going to type my email address in the chat as well, if I can find it here. So feel free to email me if you have questions before we meet again. And I will be sharing the slides with all of you. And Marina will have the recording as well.
Yeah, I will upload it to the forest. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much.